I just finished doing a 15-kilometer time trial ride and I did very well. I set a personal record by 30 seconds and I'm within striking distance of some of the slower riders in my club, but it's going to be tough. One thing that's been very interesting for me is that a big part of being on the meds, which is great, and one of the things that I really hoped for with the ADHD is that I have more control over my eating, and a lot more control. So I'm eating way healthier, way more consistently, less snacking, and I'm losing weight. So maybe even a little faster than I should be. So that's, well, anyway, I'm not going to complain too much about that. But what's also interesting is that although I have some improvements in impulse control, I'm discovering some other issues that are a little bit challenging in terms of work. So specifically, usually 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the afternoon when I schedule a lot of my administrative stuff, I have no brain for it, absolutely zero. And so I'm actually quite behind on administrative stuff, even compared to before I was on medication. And so what I'm thinking of doing is actually trying to schedule my administrative work early in the morning. Like I can get up at say 5 a.m., get myself ready, and then do admin work from 6 until 7 or 6 until 7:30 when I have to do some family stuff. And then at 7:30 is normally when I take my meds. So what I could do is, have a coffee when I first get up, do my admin stuff, and then during the day, I still have good focus from the meds. And finally, sort of accommodate that weird crash, except what I'm really enjoying doing is doing exercise when I feel that low energy. And so go out for the bike ride in the late afternoon, or go for a swim in the late afternoon or something like that. And I think that might actually be a really good structure for my day. I'm going to try it starting literally tomorrow, and I'll report back. But it's been an interesting observation because I am legitimately really behind on paperwork. I have contracts to sign and spreadsheets to deal with and anyway, emails, communications, et cetera, and let's just say it's not going the way it should be especially considering the pace that I'm trying to get things done in my startup. So that's been a kind of weird unintended consequence of the meds, is that every single day, somewhere between 4 and 6 p.m., I'm brainless. And sometimes it starts earlier. So depending on what I've scheduled in my day, I've got to be really careful about that. Anyway, what else? I also have had some great conversations with people about their own experience with meds and ADHD and ASD, and I'll probably share some of that stuff. One of the things that I did today, which is also related to this stuff, but more related to the autism side, the ASD, is that I deliberately went out of my way to try and build a relationship. And it's a kind of odd thing, but basically, I've always interacted with our lawyers in a very transactional way. And one of the people who's invested in the startup basically said, look, your lawyer is someone that you need to have a relationship with, as opposed to just asking for stuff when you need it. And so I went for coffee with him, the lawyer that is. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. He told me about all sorts of really amazing stuff that he does. Turns out, I had no idea, but his focus is corporate governance and mergers and acquisitions, which, ta-da, is like perfect for being in a startup. And he talked about all sorts of resources that he has that he can connect us with at the right time, and so on and so forth. So basically, like completely unbeknownst to me, because I always treated my relationship with him very transactionally, I had no idea. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. So, you know, there are some really good things happening too. I know I'm going to still kind of struggle with the relationship stuff, but you know, one of the cool things for me at least is that I'm a pretty smart guy, and so I can figure stuff out. And I can, even if it doesn't come naturally to me, I can build skills and do things deliberately. So a bit of a long report today, but it's been a little while. Thank you. And of course, as usual, please, what? Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, or DM me. That's 5 things you could do. 5 different ways, 5 incredible ways that you could potentially engage with the awesome content that I'm making. Is it awesome content? I don't know. Oh, there is one more thing. So, after the bike race, the thing that I started talking about earlier in the video, after the bike race, one thing that was really cool is I was talking to this guy who's got kids in cycling at a very serious, high competitive level. And I was talking about how, you know, basically I can't afford the equipment that I'd really like. So for example, I do time trials. I don't have a proper time trial bike. I have a good road bike. I'm super happy with it. I love it, but I don't have a time trial bike. And as a result, you know, I've got a percentage disadvantage compared to a lot of the people in the club that I ride with. So anyway, we were talking, me and this other guy in the club, and he talked about how there's this person that he knows in another club who's also a competitive racer who goes on social media and promotes themselves all over the place and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I was just thinking this to myself. If you know anyone, if you're watching this and you know anyone who might be interested in sponsoring the worst cyclist in the club, why would you do that? I don't know. But anyway, the worst cyclist in the club with a time trial bike or anything, I'd love to hear about it. Obviously, I'm working hard. You know, I set a personal best today, but I am legitimately the slowest rider in my club. And my goal is to not be by the end of this year. And next year, we'll see. Hopefully even better. But yeah, just thought I'd ask. Maybe you know someone. Maybe you don't. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this is longer, but really appreciate it. And yeah, see you again soon.